Hello and welcome to another EcomOps podcast. Today I'm talking to Alex from Couch.com, a very cozy name, I would say. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Why, thank you so much, Norbert. It's so nice to be here with you.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure talking to you. I mean, you have over 15 years of experience in e-commerce and online retail industry. You're passionate about innovative solutions. And currently you're serving as CEO of and founder of Couch.com. Tell me a bit more about you and Couch.com.
Absolutely. So yes, I've been in e-commerce for over 15 years, and I have the gray hairs to prove it. I just cover it up with a lot of hair dye. I have it's very popular here in the United States called Just for Men, and I keep it handy. But no, I used to run a direct-to-consumer furniture brand called Apartment2B, APT2B. And we sort of started at a time in 2010 with that business where there were no independent furniture retailers online. Even IKEA, the biggest furniture retailer in the world, was not transacting business online at that time. Just to give you a sense, like people were not making large purchases at that time. So we sort of rode the e-commerce wave over the last, decade and change. And I ended up growing that business a lot with my business partner. We sold it to a large furniture retail chain here in the US. And then I stayed on for a few years as COO. So I am super dialed into furniture e-commerce. And I left that company. And the only thing I knew was that I didn't want to do furniture e-commerce.
Why?
But well,
it went well.
It certainly did. Not for me, but for everybody. No, it did go well for me. It was a wonderful experience. I learned so much. But from a personal standpoint, e-commerce can be very tricky and very, very difficult. I think to outsiders or people maybe just getting their feet wet in it, it can seem quite glamorous. It's a buzzword. It's something it's an industry people are interested in getting into. But at the same time, behind every great e-commerce business is a rigorous operations structure. And for me, as the COO of the company, I was very, very hands-on and very dialed into that. We're talking shipping big pieces of furniture all over a very big country, logistics, warehousing, customer service, all of the things that are maybe not as sexy as some of the other things in e-commerce, like marketing and creative. Those parts of my life I wasn't looking to continue. So that's kind of what actually brought me to Couch.com, because I do want to leverage my experience in this industry that I actually do really like and know a lot about and have a lot of connections in. And so when thinking about it, I had this aha moment. I was actually on a solo trip to Norway, and I was walking around and I had just seen the Northern Lights, and I was very, very inspired. And I was like, I had this aha moment. And that was to stay in the furniture business. I had already known that Couch.com, the domain, was available for sale. So I've been thinking about it. And the idea came to me that this is a much bigger, scalable concept than a traditional e-commerce business. In fact, it's not a traditional e-commerce business at all. It is a platform where we are helping people with the number one problem they have when buying furniture, which is quite simply, they have no idea where to buy furniture. Nobody knows where to go to buy great furniture. And I think that this is an international problem, not just one in the US, quite simply because it's an expensive purchase. It's one we don't make very often. We don't own that many different couches in our lifetime. So it's something that we're not experts at doing. So we're bringing the expertise to the consumer. We've done the research for you. We know all of the brands in the furniture industry. We know all the manufacturers. And we will give you all of the knowledge and the resources to figure out which couch is right for you, and then ultimately where to buy it.
That's cool. And where do you earn the money? Are you reselling those products?
Good freaking question, Norbert. I gotta tell you, I have no. I'm just kidding.
No, we are founders. We never earn money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, I think the monetization model is it's dynamic but fairly simple. We make our money from the retailers. We are an advertising platform for the retailers of the furniture industry. So there are a few different monetization models in our business approach. One of them is sort of traditional affiliate marketing, where we are writing, content pieces, whether it's reviews, roundups of the best couches for your back pain, things of that nature that we've started to do already in our early days. I'm monetizing those, based with affiliate commissions and CPC CPC revenue from these brands. But the sort of larger concept that I'm perhaps more interested in is our sort of vendor database and marketplace, where we are going to list as many, if not all, of the furniture retailers, both large and small, both online and brick and mortar in the United States, so that a user can come to couch.com, put in their zip code and some parameters of what they're looking for. I need a pink couch that's great for cats and kids, and I need it within 1 week. So those four things that I just mentioned are going to dramatically reduce the amount of options that someone has available to them anywhere you live in the US. So we intend to curate these options for the consumer, present a few products that may fit their needs in their local area or online, and also some retailers. And then we're going to have pages set up for these retailers that they will be a self-serve option for them, where they can kind of like a Yelp or a Google My Business does, but a curated furniture first approach where they're able to upload images of their business, their reviews. They're able to put up UGC up on there and ultimately communicate with these customers who are interested in their brand or their store. So there's going to be like a contact portion. And this is not reinventing a crazy wheel. There are a number of websites that we're modeling this after in other industries that I think it is perfectly applicable to what we're doing with couches and ultimately the furniture space.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I mean, it's a classic marketplace approach. What kind of software are you using for that?
We are building our platform on the Shopify platform. So my tech partner that I'm working with is very, very dialed into the Shopify network, and that's what I'm very familiar with as well. And we were early adopters of Shopify at my former business, and we have a lot of great contacts with people at high levels who are willing to work with us and beta test things with us. And, it helps to have relationships in e-commerce, I found, especially when you're trying to be nimble and cost effective. So we're moving everything to Shopify. Currently, we're on a WordPress site just to house our content. And we're about to launch our phase 1 of Shopify in about middle of May. So about 1 month from right now when we're recording this.
That's awesome. Well, I need to say that's typical. As I think 80%, at least 80% of all podcasts that I record when I ask the question, and what shopping cart software do you use, is Shopify. Yeah. And of course, for content, it's WooCommerce, it's WordPress, and this is very common, I think. And you see it whenever you go, especially in the US or Canada, there is mostly Shopify really in place. So the retailers that are selling couches are coming to you and say, okay, I want to list my couch on your marketplace, or I want to do an affiliate program with you. How is that process going on? So what do you do to find those companies selling the couches?
Great question. It bears mentioning that we're not really fully at that phase yet. Right now, we have signed up a number of sort of flagship brands that we're going to be working with to pilot this concept and test a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing to test right now is just what our user acquisition strategy looks like and how we're driving traffic to these brands and how we're helping them best convert sales. Like, are we best utilized at the top of the funnel, or lower down in the funnel, or both? And so this is something that I want to have dialed in a little bit more before we really go to market with a full, a full approach.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that the good thing about the furniture industry, well, there's two good things. One, I know it very well. Two, it's a very big industry, but at the same time, it's a very small world, and everybody knows each other. It's very incestuous and it's wildly competitive. So everybody talks to each other. There's one publication that every single furniture retailer and manufacturer reads called Furniture Today. There are 4 trade shows a year. There's 2 in Las Vegas and 2 in North Carolina every single year that really dictate the pace and flow. And between those two things, there are a few more examples, but between those two things, the trade shows and the one publication, we're able to reach 90% of our addressable market when it comes to the retailers, if they wouldn't have already heard of us via word of mouth. So the marketing or sales strategy when it comes to the retailer side of things, I'm not really very worried about that. It'll cost money and it'll take time and probably some creativity and hustle. But ultimately, it's not like we're going to have to guess where to find our customers. Our paying customers are very predictably found.
Yeah. And I think you have the perfect domain for that with couch.com. I mean, that's really amazing when you launch something like that and you have that premium plus AA plus domain. Yeah, that's really awesome. How do you deal with the technical things? I mean, when I'm buying a couch, I think about how does it fit in my room? I mean, whenever I, let's say, buy a TV on Amazon or any big electronic product, I'm able to put it into my room. There is this feature where you just take a picture of your room or enable your camera, and then you put it anywhere. And there are 3D planners and configurators. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, I think what the good thing and the advantage that I have personally is that I have been vetting these visualization tools and shopping tools for the furniture space for my entire career thus far. As we were one of the first early adopters of 3D rendering technology. My former company, Apartment2B, was the one that piloted the first browser-based, not application-based, augmented reality feature and tool. So I know a lot of the players in the industry, and what's great about couch.com is that we're able to feature multiple tools, and we're able to integrate a lot of different technologies into our platform that maybe smaller retailer could only afford or have the bandwidth to support one of them. We can take a much larger approach or full scale approach and have an augmented reality application or a room planner, AI room planning tools, which we're really heavily focused on right now. We already have some sort of early partnerships in that area, but it's very exciting to see where visualization is going, specifically in the furniture space, because it's a major problem that needs solving. People cannot picture things in their space easily. In their brain. The tools are not adequate currently to serve that need. And when it comes to like figuring out whether something's going to fit in your room or not, also extremely important, especially when you're buying something online, because it can be very costly and time consuming to have to order something and then return it.
Yeah, that's the case. I mean, it's no problem if you have a package, but if you have a couch or any kind of furniture, I mean, that's immense. And I just got a delivery of IKEA. So I know what that means, especially when you need to build up those things later on. So these 3D planners, actually, how is that for users? I mean, it's always so hard when you develop something like that or implement something like that to have the user in mind, because technicals are building that and the users need to use that. And you see it always when they start using a software, it doesn't fit for them or doesn't work for them. How can you test that? How can you work with your users to get that really in a perfect shape and perfect experience?
No, that's a great question. I think, what I've done mostly in my career is rely on third-party providers, whether they're providing a service or a software, to do their job as best as they can. I don't see our Couch.com team, really being very, very hands-on about that. So really, we're vetting tools right now and applications that are already successful and are trying to partner with them. So I'll give you an example. One of them is called Realize.Design. And I'm friends with that at this point. We've been talking for a long time. And I, did some sort of light consulting with them when they were developing their product when I was at my former company. But this is an iOS based application. And that's being developed for Android as well and others. But you take this, you literally scan your room in this sort of way. It takes you through a number of prompts, like you're scanning the corners, and it takes sort of a visual blueprint of your room that is incredibly accurate. And then, and of course, you could style it a little bit and play with it. It's not, you don't get all the bells and whistles. Maybe it's not very pretty looking, but it works. Then you have a 3D rendering of your room that you could actually move around. You could put the windows where the windows are and the doors where the doors are. And then it has about, at this moment, 10,000 SKUs of furniture pieces that you can put in your actual room to see if it fits between the two windows or underneath them, or, next to the doorway. Is there enough clearance? And you can sort of get a sense of what these pieces might look like in real life, because they are full 3D renderings that you can zoom in, get close to, and move around. As far as I know, this is the best type of thing that's out there in its space. And on the other side of things, there are applications that are like very AI driven, where like Wayfair, for instance, which is the largest online retailer of furniture in the US, has this great application where you upload a picture of your room, you click on a few styles of different pretty pictures that you like, and then it offers you suggestions. It literally will change the furniture in your room. It'll take away your couch and put in a different couch, and it'll give you 5 different styles. And wouldn't you know, they have products to match every single one of them. So,
oh, wow.
So my intention is to, maybe we can't get Wayfair's version, but to leverage these types of technologies, the best of the best, and bring them into Couch.com just as a service offering and a value add. It's not something we need to make money off of necessarily. It's just something that our users will appreciate and will ultimately support the ecosystem of Couch.com.
That's cool. Really, really. And I'm such a fan of technology, of these kind of features, because this really is helping buyers to identify what they really want, what they really need, and it lowers the return costs. I think that this is what in my thoughts, it's always like, when I buy furniture online, and I'm not 100% sure how can I return it. I mean, returns of furniture, I think, is the biggest pain in the ass for everyone, for the buyer and for the retailer who sent the furniture, right?
Well, there's one person who it's not the biggest pain in the ass, and that's the shipping companies. They make out like bandits. Sure. Yeah. They are doing amazing because of returns. My goodness.
Yeah. The pricing is immense. Can you tell me a bit about the industry itself? What do you think is the biggest mistakes that those retailers selling furniture online are doing at the moment?
Well, there are a number of them. It's very hard to run a successful e-commerce furniture business. I know, because I know how, you know, certain one misstep can dictate, you know, real numbers on your bottom line. One area of your business that you're not focused on, if you don't have your shipping partners, you know, locked in and doing exactly what they should be doing, you could lose a lot of money. So I think it's on a larger scale, it's like not focusing on all of the different areas. But I think honestly, the number one thing that people in the e-commerce space really don't focus enough on is the customer's experience post-purchase. Customer service in a national, like huge furniture shipping operation is vitally important because ultimately it dictates your reputation. Customers, once you start getting bad reviews online and your reputation gets eroded, then so do your sales. They follow suit. You're losing a lot of business by not doing the work and humbling yourself enough to focus and really invest your time and money in the right area. And that's the customer experience. It's not a technology. It's not a problem solvable by technology only at this time. And I think a lot of e-commerce founders and business operators hope that it is and are very hopeful, and so much so that they will, you know, let chatbots run their customer service operation. But at the end of the day, we're not there yet. And that's something that is a big mistake by a lot of people and a lot of businesses in this industry.
Yeah, I need to agree. I think that's not even in furniture. It's a lot in the entire industry of e-commerce. And if there would be one thing that you could say would be great if I had known that, what would that be?
You know, for the past year, I've immersed myself in content marketing and SEO strategy, and it's just a part of my business that I never fully focused on. I think that's typical path for a pure e-commerce individual like myself. But if I really understood the power of SEO, especially what it was, you know, 15 years ago when we were getting our business, you know, started, and realize what a wonderful investment it would have been for my former business. That's sort of the number one thing that comes to mind. That's the one thing I would have gone back and doubled and tripled our budget. Because now I know it will work. I know it would have worked. So in hindsight, which is always 2020, of course, I feel like that's the number one thing we could have done to invest in our company the right way.
Awesome. And I can underline that. Yeah, I'm in business, in online business also around 20 years now, and it's immense what you can do with search engine optimization over the time. It doesn't work right away. It will take its time, but it is worth every dime that you invest there, because it's really helping you on the long run. So really cool. Thank you so much. Last question for the day, Alex. Who has taught you the most about e-commerce in your career?
You know, I thought, I don't know. This is a question you gave me beforehand to think about, and I really thought about it a lot. I think I don't want us to weasel around it or weasel my way out of the question, but I think it's very actually an interesting answer. I don't think anybody taught me anything. And that's so interesting, because if I started today, as I am learning so much from other people in this sort of ancillary part of the industry in the SEO and content marketing world, I'm learning so much from so many people in networking groups. I had a call today where this guy blew my mind, just a one-on-one I had with him. I'm learning things from people every day. And yet there was no blueprint for running an e-commerce business. There were no easily findable resources to do this. And nobody really knew any of the answers. Everyone was just sort of guessing and finding things out as they went along for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's fully true. Yeah, I mean, the business itself, or the e-com business started, I think 20 years ago, and everyone needed to learn that a bit. And it's a really cool answer. I love that. Thank you so much, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to give us a quick review and hit the like button. And Alex, thanks so much for your time. It was really, really a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with Couch.com.
Thank you so much, Norbert. I really appreciate it.
And that's it for this episode of the EcomOps podcast. If you enjoyed listening and would like us find and interview more e-commerce operations experts, please search for EcomOps podcast in your favorite podcast listening app and then subscribe, rate, and review. Until next time,